Hey guys, how's it going? So today we're going to be doing a deck preview, or a pre-constructed, sorry, not a pre-constructed, a competitive custom deck for the Witch archetype in Wrath of Course 2. We're going to be rocking the beta core, basically because once you've lost 10 cards into your dead zone, once per game you can play a unit from your hand without paying its cost. So that's really good at getting those expensive units out of your hand and into play for pretty much next to nothing. So with the witches, they basically focus on trying to deal as much direct damage to the enemy core as possible. Let's just go through the cut, let's just go through the deck then really. So starting with the units and our royalty rares. The two royalty rare choices for this one is Pandora Hexen Demonette. Basically when she hits in battle, your opponent must discard a card from their hand. She only needs a 2 to hit, so it's going to happen very often, and also the top card of their deck. If one of those discarded cards is a rare or royalty rare, the enemy core takes 1 damage. So again, fitting in with the theme of dealing some direct damage, Pandora's got that combo of discarding a card, losing the top card of the enemy deck, and dealing a point of damage directly. She also boasts a heavy 7 attack, and she can counter attack as well, so definitely well worthy of a royalty rare status. The artwork also comes part of the beta set from Wrath of Course 1, which is one of my favourite pieces. The other royalty rare is the Angel of Embers. Although not being a witch doesn't necessarily fit the theme, but this actually fits into the deck very nicely. So it's a 5 cost card, 5/5, pretty standard stats. It's a 2 to hit and it can counter attack. However, the ability's got 3 different abilities here. When the enemy unit kills an assault unit, the enemy core loses 1 HP, so that fits in with the theme of immediate direct damage. If you kill a defensive unit, you get to draw a card. Nice little bit of support. When this unit kills a reinforced unit, the opponent discards a card. So these two cards have very, very similar abilities. This one obviously is a little bit cheaper, a bit easier to get out into play. But if you can manage to get them out onto the field, you know, maybe get Pandora out with the core's ability, or maybe you could get them out a bit mid-game, they can do some serious damage to your opponent. So moving into our assault units. So we've got 2 copies of Demonic Wisp. Now if you have a witch or mage or demon unit in play, reduce the cost of this unit by 1. So there are quite a lot of witches in this deck, so most of the time this will be a nice 1 cost unit with a 2/2 start and a counter ability, so that we've got 3 copies of them in the deck. Next up, we've got, I believe it's 2 copies of Diabolical Witch. So she only costs 3, but she boasts a 4 attack. When this unit attacks, if the enemy unit is a human, then this unit gains 1 attack for the turn, so she can quite easily become 5 attack, and at the moment there's a lot of human units in the game because of the knights. I've got 2 copies of them. Followed on by 3 copies of Sinister Witch, a 2 cost, boasting 3 health. When this unit attacks, you may discard a card. If you do, this unit can attack the enemy core directly. So again, this is matching the theme. This is what the witches do. It's easy to get out into play. It's easy to hit. If you discard a card when you declare her as an attacker, you can deal the damage directly to the enemy core. If you're lucky enough to get all 3 of them out in a game, that's 1/3, just over 1/3 of their health points gone in 1 turn. So yeah, definitely worthy having them in. Mage of Glyphs. I believe I've only got 1 unit of this. When this unit dies, look at the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck, put 1 into their dead zone and shuffle the other back in. So she's out there, a bit of cannon fodder. If you know it's a unit on the field, but if your opponent manages to kill it off, then you get to look at the top 2 cards and discard 1 and shuffle the other back in. So that kind of delays your opponent a little bit. Rare assault units, we've got Devil Twin Sean. Whenever she attacks and rolls a 5 or 6, you may cancel the attack and deal 2 points of damage directly to the enemy core. Again, fitting the theme with immediate direct damage. Followed by Loyal Ember Witch, a 5 cost but she boasts 6 attack. A little bit trickier to hit, she needs a 3. She can counter attack, it says once per turn, you may discard a card or the top card of your deck. If you do, deal 1 damage to the enemy core directly. Now that's not an attack ability, you can use that on your main phase and then attack with the Loyal Ember Witch to deal 2 points of damage to the enemy core directly. Once directly, and then, you know, that's quite a meat stick with 6 attack alone, so it's not really going to be losing much against anything that goes up against that. We've got a couple of assault units now. These are just basics. this unit can attack the enemy core directly. It is a little bit expensive and it does require a free to hit. However, once it's out, it's out. Your opponent's going to have to waste some resources getting rid of them. We've got 2 copies of them. Followed by, this is now our reinforcement. We've only got one reinforced card in the deck. Merciful Witch. Whenever one of your witch units dies, you may pay with 2 charges off your core. If you do, recover 1 HP to your core. That's just a little bit of recovery. It's kind of anti-witch, but you know, the option's there for you to recover a little bit of health. Sorry, we do have some more reinforced units. Lookout Seer, 2 cost, boasting 3 health. Whenever one of your units deals damage to an enemy core, you may draw a card. Obviously that fits in with most of these assault units. The more damage you do directly to the enemy core, you're going to be drawing more cards, which will obviously increase your card flow. Moving on to our defensives, we've got a couple of these. We've got Rhea, Mage of Illusions. I've only put 1 copy in because I've only got 1 copy in my collection. But when your opponent draws a card, you may discard a card from your hand. If you do, the enemy core takes 1 damage. Now this is a defensive unit dealing direct damage to the enemy core. Defensives cannot attack, so it's really nice to have that ability there. Doing what the witches need to do. Even though she's a mage, she fits very nicely in with the deck. Then, next defense, we've got 2 copies of Witch of Flames. Whenever this unit survives being attacked, roll a die. Deal damage to the unit that attacks this unit equal to the number rolled on the die. Now, she does boast 5 health, so the opponent is going to need some meaty units to be able to even kill this unit off. But if they're attacking twice, then they need to think twice, because obviously you can deal up to 6 damage back to the opposing unit, which is like pretty much a counter attack in a way. 2 copies of Haunting Oak. This is just a really nice cheap defensive unit to get out early on. It's got 4 health for only 2 cost. And then 2 copies of Tentacles of the Deep. This is really nice. Again, it's a 2/4, it's an uncommon. Your opponent must basically attack this and kill this unit before it can target any other units you have in play. So they're really nice just for the sake of getting in the way of your opponents. Now moving on to our attack actions, we've got some cost reduction of 1 copy of Recruitment and some tutoring. Basically look at the top 3, not exactly tutoring, but deck management. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck, put 1 into your hand and then place the rest onto the bottom of your deck. You've got 2 copies of them, so that's good for getting out some units, what you really need. Onto our removal, you've got 2 copies of Lightning Strike, deal 2 damage to any unit, and 1 copy of Fireball, deal 3 damage to an assault unit. And 2 copies of Siphon Core, deal 1 damage to the enemy core, then recover 1 HP to your core. So it's a free cost, but it fits in with the theme of dealing immediate damage. 2 copies of Victorious Moment. If you damage your opponent's core this turn, draw 2 cards. So that's really nice because you can obviously play that on your main phase, and then once you deal damage to the enemy core, you get a nice buff of card draw. It's very similar to the other card we had earlier on in the deck. Then we've got some buffing cards. Basically, this will give a unit 1 attack for the turn, so +1 attack. If that unit does manage to kill an opponent, then your opponent discards the top card of their deck. We've got 1 copy of them. 1 copy of Battle Armaments. A unit in play gains 2 attack and 2 health for this battle phase. So that's a nice little buffing for 2 cost. Then a little bit of counter management. We've got Caltrops, which basically cancels down an attack. So if your opponent's about to kill off one of your powerful units which you don't want to lose, you can throw down the Caltrops and cancel the battle. Followed by 2 copies of Magic Ball. Counter the enemy action or battle card, it has no effect. So for 2 costs, that's a really nice card, because obviously the opponent can cost 5 or 6 charges to play a powerful card, and then you can counter it with a 2 cost response. So yeah. Anyway, that is the Witches deck. Let me know what you guys think. Obviously the aim of the game is to deal that direct damage, and I think this card does pretty well at doing so. A lot of the cards are nice and cheap to play. There's only a handful of expensive cards in the deck, more so your powerful defensives and your powerful royalty rares. But yeah, that's the Witch deck. If you've got anything you think can make the deck better, or if there's something you think I should remove, just be sure to leave a comment down below and let me know what you think of the deck in general. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you next time. Toodaloo.